The one and only Steve Ploetz is in the house. All right, and it clearly sitting on his wallet, as you can see, the left side. So, Steve, we had some very interesting things going on in the marketplace. $1 listings. I don't know if you've seen those. Have you seen a $1 listing yet?
No, I have not seen a $1 listing. Just so
you
you know.
Will.
So I did do a little bit of research before we jump into our main topic on comp bombs. A $1 listing is actually not allowed in the San Diego MLS. Well, here's the rule. The rule is you're not allowed to sell a property for you're not allowed to list a property for 20% under what it sells for. So it creates a very unique situation where you're
not allowed, but how do you know what it's going to sell for?
I mean, that can be your argument to the MLS, to the Sandicor MLS, or now it's not Sandicor, it's Paragon and CR MLS, and depending on the MLS is a whole other discussion. But I looked into it after our last discussion.
Well, it's happening.
Yeah.
So you said that there's a legal statute, or is it just in part of the ethics?
It's in part of the ethics. So
okay.
There's certain, as we talked about, like, there's different models as well.
So you could get complaints.
Exactly.
Which could go against your license.
Exactly.
Okay.
So there's other models like Harcourt's does their auction style. They're required that they have to list the property at
and that's legitimate.
As long as they list it within 20% of the sales price.
The expected sales price.
We talked before about the listing that I had a client that wrote an offer on where it reduced the price. I want to get the numbers right. $725 it was listed at, and they reduced the price to $499. And then they had a bunch of offers, and it ends up selling in the sixes.
Yes.
So doing some percentages there, I think they were actually outside.
That sounds like they were outside the scope of what's ethically reasonable as well. Well, this is hard data, folks, right here, and this is what I've been talking about for, it was January 2017 when I warned you this would start happening. I said 18 to 24 months. We're almost right at 24 months. It started a few months ago.
Do you want a round of applause?
No.
Can we give the man a round of applause?
I'm just telling you, the point about this is that real estate is predictable. As long as you're not blinded by something or you don't have some sort of bias that keeps you from seeing the truth, you will easily be able to see what's going on with real estate. So let's pull this one up here. Now this was, you can go ahead and pull up the computer there, Amrita. So this is actual sales, and I verified this. So this was posted by a realtor who I know on Facebook, and he posted it, and it said, you know, this just happened. And so as you can see, this home just sold on 12/9. So the one on the left, these are basically model match. Exact same square footage. One has 2.5 baths, one has 3 baths. But they're exact same square footage. As you can see, they're identical homes, and they're about 100 yards from one another. I mean, really close. One sold August 31st of this year, so just a few months ago, for $760,000. The one on the right, and it's not San Astor, it's Sand Astor Drive, sold just a few days ago for $600,000. That is a comp bomb, my friend. Okay, that is an atomic comp bomb.
I wish on Facebook Live they could zoom in on Derrick's eyebrows as his eyebrows go. That, my friend.
So it is that is an extreme version of comp. Now, I do also want to show that I didn't just take his word for it. Now, since then, he has removed the post.
Why?
I shared it. People were commenting on it. I was trying to go back in and comment. Removed. I'm assuming that it's because in real estate ethics, as a real estate agent, you cannot inject fear into people. In other words, it says in there that you're not supposed to create fear in people in order for them to do something. So it could have been interpreted that way, like, that, hey, this is an ethics violation.
Fire sale,
yeah.
Get out of San Diego right now.
You're creating fear in sellers and using this as a way to create fear to force them into a decision. And I believe that is directly unethical. That is probably why I bet his broker said, hey, you better get that down. But I had downloaded it already. So here it is, okay? Now, I did go in and verify this, so I'm just gonna pull it up and then we'll show you here. I went in and verified. Now, obviously these aren't the end-all be-alls, but this is Zillow right here, showing you the first one, 1617 Bacchus Ave. Sorry for the homeowners there.
So in all seriousness, Why are you sorry for the homeowners? I agree that there is a sale. That I'll let you finish.
They bought at the tippy top of what's happening. That new comparable is not a distress sale.
And it doesn't have to be. We will be on opposite sides of this argument today.
Good.
So
Good.
You want the opposite side. The opposite side is one sale doesn't make a market.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Now, here, let me go ahead and show you.
I can't imagine being in a relationship with you and arguing with you and you going, wrong, sweetheart.
No one with any
wrong.
sense argues with me. All right, now I'm just going to show you this one. I had to pull it up on Redfin. What was really interesting is I could not pull it up on Zillow. I had to pull this up on Redfin. And you can even see the Redfin estimate says $670,000. Redfin estimate typically way better than the Zestimate. Last sold price $600,000. Now the difference here: 1,728 square feet. Okay, 3-bed, 2.5 bath. Sold December 9th, as stated. This one sold August 31st, as stated. 3-bed, 3-bath, 1,728 square feet. So they have a full instead of a half bath. That's the only difference.
And obviously that's worth $170,000.
$160,000, Steve.
$60,000.
Yes, that half bath is worth quite a bit. So I just wanted people to see that I did verify this because when he pulled it down, I thought, oh, maybe he screwed up. Maybe
it's 660 and 600.
Yeah, maybe he's just made a mistake and it wasn't correct. But these are actually correct numbers. Basically model match homes, besides the half bath, $160,000 difference. And that is in a mere 3 months. September, October, November, 3 and a week. 3 months and a week. 3 months and a week, Steve, $160,000. And this is Carlsbad 92011. This is a beautiful area. It's an amazing neighborhood. It's very well sought after. The schools are great. The sun shines there every single day.
So let me ask you a question here, Derrick. In your opinion, and I can't do the percentages that well, but let's see, 10% is 76,000. So in your opinion, has that neighborhood just dropped in 3 months 22.5% or whatever the number is?
Yes, obviously it did. Now, because you have the comp. Now that comp is a problem. If it were the case that Sandaster Drive was a distress sale, then the appraiser can throw it out. If it were a short sale, if it were a foreclosure.
The appraiser can throw it out now.
If it were a probate sale, no, they can't. There's no bank, bank that will be okay with that.
In the same way that 18 months ago, a year ago, we had the opposite of a comp bomb. What's the opposite of a comp bomb? Where
comp rocket.
A comp rocket. Oh, I like the word choice we've got here.
I'm a wordsmith, my friend.
You've got sales that are all showing a trend all around one area. This is what I had last year. And then all of a sudden, we sell $150,000 above where all the regular comps are. And it's a cash sale. So it makes things way easier because we don't have to mess around with appraisal, etc. My opinion, that doesn't mean that all of a sudden the whole market that whole neighborhood has now just jumped up 150,000. As smart as it sounds, one comp doesn't make a market. That's not mine. I can't claim that. An appraiser told me that. An appraiser needs to look at a trend. And so that is the reason that an appraiser will look at 3 sales within the last 90 days. Look at what else is listed for sale. This one sale, we don't know. I agree with you. It's not a short sale. It's not probate. Those kinds of places where we go, oh, it is a distressed sale. But maybe this is a seller that has a lot of equity and says, you know what, I want out and I want to go out of town and I'm looking forward to living with my family again in Kentucky and I've only got 10 years to live, so let's do it.
It could also be a seller who got screwed over by an investor who came in and made a cash offer and told them their house sucked. I mean, who knows? There's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons. Those reasons don't show up on the appraisal. And I'll just tell you, the bank doesn't give a F about what the reasons were. The question is, these are model matches, Steve. Now, if we had said, well, it's in the same area, they're both 3 bedrooms. This one, there's none of that. These are right next to one another.
My next guest should be an appraiser. We should have a discussion with an appraiser on a situation.
I know
like
a great
this.
appraiser.
And just because I hear what you're saying, an appraiser needs to take that sale into account. But that doesn't mean that these people that bought it at $760 have now made the worst decision ever, and they've just overnight, 3 months and 1 week, they've just lost $160,000 worth of equity.
It may not be that they lost 160. You're right. Maybe the next model will sell for more than 600,000. That's possible. Maybe but it ain't going to be 760, brother. It might be 660. It might be 680. What would you have to tell if you got a call from someone who had this model match home in that area, and they said, Steve, we need you to sell our place. What do you think we're going to get for it?
Well, I'm not going to look at one sale. I'm not going to look at just that one sale. Like an appraiser, I'm going to take that sale into an account. And what I'm going to do is, me personally, I'm going to call the listing agent on that deal, and I'm going to call the selling agent on that deal. And I'm going to have some conversations. And I'm going to say, hey, this seems a little out of sync with what's happening in that local market. Why? Why did this happen? Was there some extra motivation? Did the agent double-end it and through... It was a 6% listing, and they said, I'll do it for 2%, so there's another $25,000. That's the information that is necessary.
Okay, you want more information? Fine. Here you go. So let's look. All right, now you can pull this up, and you can see that the property was listed.
Oh, we're going to Redfin. This is where all the best information is.
Okay, well, you can verify this later and let us know if it's wrong. So October 8th, the home was listed for $749,000.
Okay.
Pretty reasonable, considering that model match comp
was at 760.
760, 749, very reasonable. A little over 2 weeks later, they dropped it to 739. Okay, 5 days later, they dropped to 695. A month later, we're now down to 675.
I like that you highlight it. That's helpful when as you highlight it. Derrick, and I will look into the sale, and you and I can have a discussion.
We're having a discussion. That's what this is. This is a discussion that we're having right now.
There's a discussion. Is it normally when you say wrong? This sounds like Trump.
Well,
wrong. Wrong.
Oh, that's just unfair.
Wrong.
Unfair. I am the best at this. I'm amazing. No one's ever been better. This is a world record right now.
Wrong.
No, so. Here, but these are facts.
These are facts.
They're actually referencing the MLS and the information here.
Okay.
So a month later, down to 675. Then it says the price changed 675, but it didn't. The price changed something else. Then it went pending. Okay. So they had this thing on the market for 6 weeks, which personally I would agree with you that is maybe not enough time to get the best offer in the fourth quarter. So maybe they were a little more motivated than the average seller would be.
They went 739. Here's 695.
675.
After no, go back.
Yeah, 695 to 675. They go
739 to 695 after 5 days.
Right.
So they go to a new price of 739, and then here's my opinion.
And why did they do that?
I don't know why they did that.
But I mean, there had to be a significant reason. They must have been getting feedback. They must have been seeing things happen.
Maybe they got feedback, and we don't know. Maybe it backs up to a road. Maybe there's unsightly neighbors. There's other factors that are involved,
we can
flesh that out. We can flesh it
We can flesh it out right now. But what is interesting is that it went pending on the 29th of November and closed on the 9th of December, which looks like a cash transaction.
And most likely is for $600,000.
Yeah, for 10 days. I mean, it's unlikely that person's getting financing. Now, 600 grand is not like, I mean, we see homes sell in Carmel Valley and at the beach all the time, all cash. They're millions of dollars. So it's not like totally, or Ocean Beach, people $1 million all day cash. It's all cash in Ocean Beach. So it's not totally ridiculous to think that an actual buyer might have cash for a home like this, but it's less likely, I would say, than an investor or someone who thinks they might be able to flip this house. Maybe even, and this is where it could get really, we could play detective on this thing, maybe.
Thank you, Rob. It was cash.
Rob says it was cash. Okay, so it was cash. So maybe there is, maybe we need to do a little Inspector Gadget on this thing. I mean, maybe, I don't know, I don't want to say anything, but there could be some, who knows? Who knows what's going on with this? So, but it's over 600,000. It'll be interesting to see if it comes back on the market.
Yeah, maybe they sold it to their brother. Maybe they sold it to an investor who's going to flip it. Maybe it is owner-occupied. I think time will tell. I guess all I'm saying is the panic that I hear in your voice, I don't have that panic.
There's no panic, by the way. It's called a matter of factness. And these are facts. Now, I think if they were going to sell it to their brother, they wouldn't have listed it for $749 originally. You know what I mean? Actually, it looks like it was originally listed for $695, and then somehow they went to $750.
So it looks like those are different MLSs, CRMLS and SDMLS.
San Diego. Yeah. What is the CRMLS?
So that's North County that also ventures into Riverside County.
Oh, okay. So they put it in a couple of that's reasonable. So but the price changes, and the time on market, although only 6 weeks, isn't enough for me to say, okay, they definitely gave it enough market time.
Yeah.
But it's enough to say that if this was such a smoking deal, you know, that someone probably would have made some offer better than 600,000. Do you know what I mean?
In my opinion,
it's in a great area.
Probably what the seller needs, I mean, now we're just guessing, and I'll make some guesses. Probably time was more important to the seller than price. Because I agree that you're listed at 675, and they say, hey, 10-day escrow for 600,000 will get you out. It's as is, most likely. Get you out of it. Here's 600,000. You're done with it in 10 days. That was probably more important to the seller than an agent that would say, hey, if you stay on the market, why don't we, if you want to reduce to 649, then we're going to get a new demographic of buyers under 650, and maybe we can sell it for 630, something like that. And lo and behold, that's $30,000 more than this cash deal, and you'll probably get a buyer that's owner-occupied, et cetera, et cetera. I'll be very interested to see. And you and I can tag each other in posts that we don't remove about whether this property is getting relisted and what it comes back on the market at and what it sells at. Because I agree that based on what we see there, that it's most likely that is a flipper. That's somebody that's going to fix it up if it needs fixing. Looked like it was a little bit older.
Didn't look like it needed fixing.
You don't think that exterior? I mean, it's a nice neighborhood.
Yeah. Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know what if there were some structural issues maybe, or some gut issues, or maybe there was, you know, plumbing problems, electrical problems. We don't know. There could be major damage interiorly.
So I have a hypothetical question for you. So let's say it is a flipper, and they fix it and they put it back on the market and it sells at 750, and you're that buyer that bought at 760. Now, did your value of your property go from around 760, since that's what you bought it for, and then drop to 600 because there's that comp? But now there's the comp rocket that brings it back. Is that what you're saying? Is that
That could be. It could be. But I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm not concerned about Baccaris Avenue. Like, if they have a long-term outlook, they're going to be fine. That's the good thing about real estate. If you always have a long-term outlook when you buy it, you're going to be fine. What is more concerning is the people who are like, let's wait to sell until January. Let's wait to put our house on the market until after the holidays. We were going to talk about this. Should you wait? And this is the danger of waiting right here, is that this might happen. There just takes one really motivated seller for everyone to change their mind. Because when people see the sign go up, they always get curious. And when they see the sign come down, they always look it up.
I agree.
Or they call their agent. Hey, what'd that one sell for?
That the benefit of doing real estate today, whenever today is that you have facts and you can talk about what's happening in the market today. And everybody, even experts, educated people, people that are in the industry like ourselves and other people, when it comes to what does next spring look like, it's a guess. We're going to make a guess based on what, an educated guess based on what's happening. What's Rob saying?
He said that it's a great area, that St. Astor wasn't as nice as Baccaris, and the yard on Baccaris seemed quite a bit nicer, but it needed some updating. So, yeah, and then that makes sense, you know, that it wasn't a perfect turnkey, you know, situation as to why they were having trouble selling it. But this isn't the only instance. This is just one this is the best one I've seen because it's basically model match. The houses are 100 yards from each other.
Here's where you and I will disagree. I agree with everything that you just said there. But here's where you and I disagree.
We're going to play that on a loop in the YouTube version of this.
It's going to be that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
I agree with everything you just said. I agree with everything you just said.
When we look at the value of this home, and if we were to look at a graph, and I know the Zillows of the world try to do this graph of here's the value of the property along the way. In my opinion, it seems ludicrous that the value of the house would be around 760, then drop to 600, and then if they do resell, my guess is, and I've already put a $100 bet with Oceanside in regards to is at the top of the market. That was a couple of months ago. Then if they flip it and they sell it at 730, 750, that now all of a sudden the value of that property plummeted and comp rocketed back up. I don't see that. Real estate is, the moves in value are slower than that. And I agree with you.
It appears that they are. It appears that they are. But in reality, as we've proven, that can happen. So no, it's true. If you had to, as a homeowner, if you had to look at the ticker symbol for your house every day, and you could actually know what the value is, and it moved throughout the day, 24 hours a day, as the market was moving, if there was some way to know that.
Which is impossible.
Which is impossible, but if there were, it would freak people out. Straight up, freak people out. Because it does, it changes a lot all the time. But it really doesn't matter what your home is worth until you want to sell it, right? So that's who I'm talking about here, is the people who have already made the decision, we want to sell our home, they might be in the area, or they might just be in the zip code. And you know, this all of a sudden, it has a ripple effect. It really does. Now, best case scenario is that someone comes in and flips it. That's the best case scenario for the neighborhood. Someone bought it at $600,000 cash, they come, they put $30,000 or $40,000 into it, make it amazing, and sell it for $750,000. That'd be the best thing that could happen. But that's a lot of hope. And in the meantime, what happens to the market? Is the new value for all these model match homes $600,000 now? Probably not, because if you listed them all for $600,000, I bet you would have some go for over. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So it's not the new value necessarily, but it has created a different standard. It has created, there's a different elephant in the room now. There's a different mindset.
It's just so silly to me because buyers will look at this recent sale at $600,000, and that will be, exactly to your point, the elephant in the room. And it wasn't that long ago that we had the opposite problem where comps are all around one spot. You have this comp rocket, and then sellers go, whoa, wait a second. Their house was nice and on the golf course, but my house is nice. It's not as updated. But if they're getting $760 and everything around here is selling for $600, my house must be $740. And then in a different market, I got into conversations that were the opposite, saying, I hear you, and your house is still worth around $600,000. Just because that's what the market's saying. Because when we talk about value, I wish that there was a way that we could do the ticker of everyone's home, but the reason that we can't is the value of a view is going to be different to you versus me. The value of an east-facing or west-facing door is going to be different to us versus somebody of Indian
Oh yeah,
background.
no, it's totally impossible.
Figuring out the value, it's not the way it is when you're trying to figure out UPS stock or something to that effect.
Correct. Yeah, it's a very liquid market. Real estate isn't that liquid. You'll never be able to know, ever be able to have that. But if you were, it would freak people out, because there's certain times in the market where it gets quiet and like the actual value of your home during that time goes really, really low. Case in point. And this just so happened to get captured. Like the picture got taken right at that time. And it's scary. It does. And this will scare people into selling. I believe that's why the agent who posted it originally removed it, because there are ethics questions with that. You know, as an agent, as you know, you can't go out and fearmonger people into transactions. That's unethical. And maybe his broker thought that that's what was happening. But it's a shame, because these are just facts that people should know and should pay attention to and should be aware of, especially sellers. Because now, Steve, what happens if another model match sells for $625?
Now we are creating a trend.
Now we have something.
Now we are building a market. What I am saying is that one sale doesn't create the trend. 2, we start to. 3, 4, 5, we get 5 sales that are all around $625. Then, and between $600 and $640, then we can say, these people that purchased for $760, we would need to know what specifically about that house. It'd be interesting to see what specifically about that house they like. Is there additional value in there? Did an appraiser, when they purchased, what did that look like? Did they purchase finance? Did an appraiser use comps? And then we can look at a trend. All I'm saying is we can't have tunnel vision on this one single sale. We need to look at a trend. Do you like that? This is good for tunnel vision. We need to look at a trend.
Like a pirate looking out at the ship.
There's a lot of similarities.
You do need to look at a trend, but how much of a trend do you need is my question. One more?
Well, I will tell you what an appraiser uses. An appraiser uses 3 to create a trend.
Right. But which ones do they give the most value to?
So, I mean, certainly sales that are recent, that are in the same area, that are of similar build and similar square footage. I agree. This is one of 3. And I'm saying that if the other 2 are at $725,
but they're older.
But if the
this
other
is the most recent one.
But
if we appraised that home today, they would not be happy.
No, I mean the next 2. I agree.
Gotcha.
Those are older. But what we're doing is we're looking back in chunks. So that right now we're taking 600 and 2 other sales. And then we're going to move forward and we're going to drop off one of those sales. If this next sale is at 630 to your point, then 630, 600, 725. Not saying it's an average. That's not saying that's what they're doing. But they are taking a snapshot back. And in my opinion, what has happened as the market shifts is that snapshot should be shorter. Because if you are a seller, here's my opinion. If you're a seller that's listing today, and you're taking comps based off of a listing that's sold back in September, the problem, or August, the problem with those times is, of course, a traditional escrow is 30 days long. So someone closes escrow in September, that means they went into escrow in August. That means that they were looking in June and July. That's a different market. So as a seller today, in my opinion, you want to get an idea of the value of your home, you need to see what's in escrow right now. What's active? What is my competition? What's something that has sold in the last couple of weeks? That I would be interested. Facebook Live here, I'm very interested to see what everybody. Steve.
So, Rob, thanks for the comments. We are live here on Facebook. You can ask this question right now. We're showing this comp bomb. If you want to pull it up on the screen just for people who are joining us right now, and Rita, that'd be great. And feel free to use picture-in-picture. Rob says, hey, but when was the last time we saw this type of discrepancy with a sale on the MLS? Might not be the new normal, but it cannot be ignored. He also says, hey, Steve, where are we at with Oceanside? Do you agree we've seen a decline in prices?
So I thank you, Rob. I appreciate the input, and I appreciate you holding me accountable on my bet. That our bet was 1 year, is that right? Or is it 6 months?
1 year.
1 year. Of course, we're going, hey, I like the little inset here.
Yeah, see that? Look at you.
Of course, in the short term, we're going to see a decline. So, Rob, I would 100% say, yes, in the short term, we have seen a decline in Oceanside. But I'm not looking in the short term. The discussion was a year, which is going to put us back through the spring and summertime of 2020. It's going to be exciting time. It's going to be an exciting time. I might have to double down.
Oh, really? You want to do it right now? Come on, Mr. Optimistic.
I am very optimistic, and I also will stay with the original bet.
Okay, that's a smart man. Yeah, and this is exactly kind of what I'm saying, Rob, is that this is something that you really can't ignore. And yes, we should look at what the next sales look like. Will they be 600,000 again for this model match? Probably not, right? Probably not. Like, clearly this was a cash transaction, and they sold in 6 weeks, so there may have been additional motivations there that we're unaware of, and so probably not. But if the next sale is at 650, or even 675, now 2/3 of your appraisal is a 600 comp and a 675 comp, and I don't care what that other one was. It doesn't even matter.
What do you mean you don't care?
It doesn't even matter.
To Rob's point, we have to look at, he says, do you agree we've seen a decline in prices? The previous, but this was the last time. Don't we need to take into account? Absolutely. We absolutely need to take into account the $600,000 sale as part of the whole puzzle in terms of determining the value of other property in that area. So you can't exclude stuff. You can't exclude distressed sales.
I'm not saying to exclude stuff. You're saying to exclude stuff.
I'm not saying.
You're trying to
on record here. I am not saying exclude anything. You need to take into account all of those sales. You need to look at all of them.
Why are you trying to poo-poo my comp?
I'm just saying your comp.
As a buyer, that's the only comp I care about.
Of course, and that's incorrect. That's what I'm saying.
It's not incorrect, because if I'm a buyer, I am the market. If I'm the buyer, I am the market.
I agree with you 100%. If you are the buyer, you are the market. And
especially right now.
So you're telling me to flip that in the comp rocket situation, I love this word, comp rocket. In the comp rocket situation, that now all of a sudden as a buyer, you're only going to look at the new highest sale that's above all the other comps? No, you can't have it both ways.
No, I'd say yes to that as well. Absolutely. If you are the opposite situation, so let's say we flip these flip-flops.
Right. All the sales are at 600,000.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden there's one sale because it's nicely upgraded, whatever it is, a buyer from out of the area says, I don't know the market, I've got cash, I love this home, I want it, 760. Bam.
What are you going to tell the buyer though when they say we really want this house? And you go, well, the last one went for 760. So
I'm going to say one sale doesn't make a market.
But what kept happening though during that period of time of
So
comp rockets?
you're
It kept
asking-
setting new highs.
That's incorrect. No, it's not. It doesn't just go. It's not linear. In the same way that this isn't going to be linear. The next sale isn't going to be at $595, and then the next one at $590, and then the next one at $585.
No one said that it would.
I'm just saying it's going to be. There's going to be data everywhere, and in that situation of the comp rocket, switching it, rounding the numbers so they work in my favor.
Even though that doesn't matter now.
Even though that doesn't matter
completely
now.
irrelevant.
And it is mildly irrelevant when we talk about the opposite. I would tell a buyer, we need to look at the market as a whole. In the same way that's what I would say to a buyer that is purchasing in this neighborhood, the very next listing that's in this community, let's look at the market as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Now, don't get me wrong. One final thought before we get to more comments, and I love that everybody is chiming in here.
Oh, hold on. No, hold on. We got it. So this is Brian who actually posted and said, hey guys, thanks for discussing this. This morning I decided to remove the post voluntarily last night after it was brought to my attention by one of my associates that it could be construed as spreading a negative narrative about what's happening in the market. While this may be true, it's also unfortunate as what we're...
I like it.
Let's see.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah,
we are
cold
looking
facts,
at
hard facts.
cold hard facts and what's happening in our market right now. Yeah, that's why I assumed that was the reason that you brought it down.
And thank you for chiming in, Brian.
Yeah, thanks for jumping on that. I just, this is the best comp bomb that you could have just with the model match situation, and they're really close to one another. I mean, they're the exact same house pretty much.
So here's my final thought with this.
Okay, final thought.
My final thought is the market hasn't dropped 22% in the last 3 months.
Okay.
And most people, I would say, agree with me there. Not Derrick, but that's okay. Most people would say...
No, I agree the market hasn't dropped 22%.
The market hasn't dropped 22%. But if you're a buyer, there is opportunity. Opportunity is knocking because there are sellers that are out there that say, forget it, I'll sell it at $600,000. And you don't always need to have cash. You don't always need to close in 10 days in order to get great opportunity and a good deal. Good deals are out there.
Something that we agree with. Something that we agree on. I love it. All right, so we have to part ways now because List It Live is about to happen up in here at 11 a.m.
Maybe some
sharp.
opportunities.
There's going to be a bunch of opportunities. I've already seen the properties on today. Amazing opportunities on List It Live. Come right up, Steve Ploetz. The amazing Steve Ploetz, everyone. Thank you very much, and watch out for comp bombs coming to a neighborhood near you.